anyhow. I wonder how it takes our waka with breast matter. I wonder. Circumcision don't cost me plenty health palava, and I don't go even wish my enemy pikin to suffer with I don't suffer. Child.
My country people, circumcision no good at all. Stop girl to the follow Monday. You know fit help woman to find pikin born. In short, inside over 20 million Nigerian girls and women wey don suffer circumcision, or many of them will also suffer health palava, plus including pain when they want menstruate, born, or even when time reach to enjoy themselves with their man for other room, whether na local place or for inside hospital. Circumcision dey very bad and dangerous. You no get anything good wey you dey do for body. Make we join hands stop circumcision today. Na this health initiative Cut project wey dey funded by United Nations Fund to end violence against women. Bring una this message.
Good afternoon and welcome to Let's Talk FGM on Women Radio 91.7. My name is Sumto Titilayo Ajama. Let's Talk FGM is an initiative of Haiti Health Initiative in partnership with Women Radio 91.7 and funded by the United Nations Trust Fund Violence Against Women. Let's Talk FGM is the program that discusses everything pertaining female genital mutilation. And today we're talking about the topic medicalization of female genital mutilation. Medicalization of female genital mutilation. For the benefit of those who don't know, the practice of cutting or mutilating parts of the female genitals is a common practice in our society, and this is what is referred to as female genital mutilation. Most people engage in this for most of the time for cultural reasons and some other time for religious and other unjustifiable reasons, so to speak. Now, although female genital mutilation is internationally considered a harmful practice, it is somehow being medicalized. And this suggests that it's a harm reduction strategy in response to perceived health risks. Well, to give us more information about that, we'll be speaking with our guest today, Dr. Akimbawale Akinyele Akin, consultant obstetrician and gynecologist, to enlighten us on the medicalization of FGM. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us, Doctor.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here.
It's good to have you. Well, the number you can call to contact us or to ask any questions or to even ask the doctor any questions is 07000 917 917. 07000 917 917. You can also send in text messages or WhatsApp messages to 0703 175 6537. 0703 175 6537. Now, Doctor, I've given us a kind of umbrella definition of what female genital mutilation is, and of course, specifically what medicalization of female genital mutilation is. But I'd appreciate a more rounded definition of the medicalization of female genital mutilation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. Female genital mutilation is actually internationally known evil, and it is described as any procedure, whether it's partially or totally done on female external genitalia, or any surgery done on female to remove female genital tissue is described as a female genital mutilation. But for me, I usually look at it in a concise way. I describe it as a female genital cutting that is not of a medical importance. That is what I describe it. Then medicalization of a female genital mutilation. There is a progression from female genital cutting and its consequences, which people have realized over time. And then they look at all these complications and then they think if the medical doctors or medical practitioners could be doing these procedures, maybe it could actually reduce the burden, the problem associated with it, and this resulted in medicalization. That is when a medical practitioner or health worker is involved in female genital cutting. That is medicalization of female genital mutilation.
Okay, so first question, which I'm very curious about. Is it right for a medical practitioner or a health worker, as you said, to be involved in medicalization of female genital mutilation? Is it even right in the first place?
Yes, let me just take it in broad terms. It is actually wrong. Okay? But what actually, female genital mutilation is as old as human being. It has a history that's associated along with it from different regions of the world, and then from different parts of, let's come down to Nigeria, different parts of Nigeria. There are various reasons for doing female genital cutting or female genital mutilation. And this reason, to those that are doing it for cultural reason, particularly in the eastern part of the country, they believe it's the right of every woman to be cut. So they are doing that, and then any women that do not have female genital cutting, they are perceived as if they are not complete, or sometimes they perceive that they are dirty. So they think the complication associated with it, which has been talked about so much, if the medical practitioner are informed, they can actually reduce this burden of female genital mutilation. That is why they think medical practitioner can be involved. But in real sense, what is not necessary does not have any reason to decorate it.
Exactly.
Female genital cutting is unnecessary. Whether it's done by experts, it's done by the most qualified person, it's done by professor, since it is not necessary, then female genital cutting by whoever is doing it is actually unnecessary procedure.
I agree with that, and I thank you for breaking it down that way. But over the past episode, we talked about some of these complications. But with regards to medicalization, what are some of these complications that could develop from a medical point of view from female genital cutting or female genital mutilation?
Yes, the complications that could arise from female genital cutting could be immediate or from
immediate or late
complications. Okay. The immediate complication that could happen is that when it is performed by traditionalists who does not use anesthesia or analgesia, pain is a major problem, because female genital organs are very sensitive organs. They are well innervated, and then it could result in very severe pain, especially for those that are done for elderly or maybe adolescent. It's a very excruciating pain, and this pain, people believe that possibly if the health workers are doing it, they could be able to manage or reduce those pain. That's one of the reasons. Then one complication. Another complication is bleeding, because the God specially designed female genitalia for its own purpose, and it is well vascularized. There is blood supply. In fact, when we look at the blood supply to the genitalia, is from the internal iliac country, the pudendal artery, which supply the female genitalia, is actually the biggest. So result a lot of bleeding. Okay, from female genital cutting, and this bleeding could even result in many things. It could result in further hematoma, in which the bleeding was not actually outside, it was actually accumulating in the female genital organ. And then another complication that could result immediately, the bleeding could be much, could be severe enough that patient went to shock. They have reported death from female genital cutting. So it's that serious from early complication. Another complication is once a woman has female genital cutting, because of the proximity of the urethra, which is the opening of urinary outflow to outside, which is close to the female genital outlet, then they could damage the urethra, result in difficulty in passing urine, accumulation of urine. It could even result in renal damage sometimes if there is obstruction of urinary outflow. So it has a lot of complications that could be early. In late complication, this is when it is more than weeks or months before the complication arises. The complication arising from female genital mutilation could be excruciating to the woman, because depending on the type and the extent of the damage that was done. If, for example, it could even result from further degree of keloid formation when there is excessive scar formation. Can you imagine a beautiful lady finding it difficult to open a type for her husband because of the level of damage that has been done to the genitalia? Okay, resulting in keloid, could become clostridiasis, which sometimes is very huge, even preventing male and female interaction sometimes. So it could be difficult. Sometimes difficult in even having relationship with men, because there could be difficult in penetration, because they could result in acquired gynectasia. Gynectasia means that there's fusion of female external genitalia. So when
fusion,
yes, because they damage it, it could actually approach together in process of healing.
Oh, right.
So it's just fused together, cause acquired gynectasia.
Which shouldn't be, right?
It shouldn't be. So now a whole lady who is happily married, trying to go in for the first time, find it very difficult and excruciating and very painful. Okay, and which is unnecessary actually. So the women tend to, as some of them try to manage, is to run away from relationship and marriage, which is unnecessary. Which is, to me, look as a dehumanization of a woman or a female folk. And then this could even lead to problem of having menstruation. Some of them have difficult menstruation because the blood is coming and the outlet is narrow. So it could lead to dysmenorrhea. Sometimes it could lead the fluid, the menstruum accumulating in the female genital tract cause fair degree of cryptomenorrhea or hypomenorrhea sometimes, could result in difficulty in giving birth because the outlet has been narrowed artificially. So they have prolonged labor, they have obstructed labor, and sometimes it can even result in unnecessary cesarean section just to deliver the woman. And then in the process, the baby that is coming can also experience difficulty, have birth asphyxia, which is morbidity associated with childbirth, and sometimes there's neonatal death. So generally, whether it is early or late, these complications that arise from female genital cutting are actually unnecessary in the first place. Okay. Sometimes women develop depression. They develop depression because they think they are unworthy because the genitalia has been partially damaged or removed. So they have anxiety, depression, suicidal ideation. So sometimes they can actually, result in suicide because the women feel something has been removed, which is not necessary. So they can have this late complication that will result from female genital cutting.
So I'm beginning to understand better, and I know that people listening are beginning to understand better some of these complications. And being that you're a medical practitioner, it was very important that we highlighted this in line with the program today, talking about medicalization of female genital mutilation. So, what are the consequences if? Or let me ask it this way: is there a law or a rule or a policy that guards against medical practitioners or health workers from participating in medicalization of female genital mutilation?
And thank you for that question. Let me put it this way. The female genital mutilation is actually a global abnormality that results across the world. And WHO in 1997 actually bring a policy statement against female genital mutilation. And let's actually move to the developed world. They have actually declared female genital mutilation as an emergency. What I mean by emergency is that when an health worker see a female, whether young, old, or whatever stage of life, they come across a female that female genital mutilated, they should report it as an emergency. They have to call, maybe depending on the country, 109, 009 to actually report. So it's a reportable case. Okay? And those that are involved will be investigated and prosecuted because they already have a law in their country that is against female genital mutilation. By so doing, the health worker already well informed that female genital mutilation is a grave offense. So they know that they must report. And when they have to report female genital mutilation, they have the setback. They will find it difficult to actually take part in female genital mutilation because they know it's reportable emergency. And they know the consequences that is associated with female genital mutilation. Exactly. Let me come back to our environment. Because whatever treaty that WHO, UNFPA, and UNICEF have made, Nigeria is a signatory to those treaty. And then when WHO declared, have a policy statement in 2010 that when United Nations General Assembly declared female genital mutilation as a public health emergency, and then every signatory to that policy, they begin to develop a way to ensure that this evil is removed or at least eliminated as much as possible. Nigeria, being a treaty to UN declaration, actually made effort. First, according to 1999 Constitution, Section 15, paragraph 1, and Section 17, paragraph 1, which actually give sanctity of human life and the protecting woman, every woman being against dangers, against damages. This is the first law that actually points to any damage to human being, whether male or female. But not pointing it to female genital mutilation. That's the first law that already been put up to actually counter female genital mutilation in Nigeria. But in 2015,
yes,
the Jonathan administration passed a law against violence against people. this law actually encompasses every violence against both male and female actually, but female genital mutilation is a key component of that law, particularly in section 34 paragraph 2, which actually stated that any damage, injury to the woman health, to their to the woman's health, to their social health is evil and is punishable under that section by awarding 200,000 or 4 years imprisonment to anybody that actually perform female genital mutilation. And everyone that have act and in it, whether they are mobilizers or they are part of people that actually ensure that the process is done, they are to pay 100,000 as fine or 2 years imprisonment. Then, Nigeria being a federation, it's important to domesticate this law in every part of Nigeria. Since that 2015 to today, 18 states has domesticated the law in Nigeria. And that is where I think there is policies and the stakeholders need to come in so that every state in Nigeria actually domesticate that law, so that it becomes law against able to perform female genital mutilation. Again, for medicalization, whether it is performed by the traditionalist or medical practitioner, is already a law. In fact, the Medical Act 2014 has actually considered any damage done to another person as a misconduct that could lead to removal of a people's license if they are found guilty. So these are the laws that are on ground. And some of the states that actually domesticated this law in southern Nigeria, only 4 states has not domesticated that law. And they include Enugu State, Abia State, Anambra, and the Akwa Ibom State. So other states in the southern Nigeria have domesticated it. But let's move to the northern Nigeria, which has 19 states. Only 5 states has actually domesticated the Violence Against People Act 2015. And then they include Sokoto State, Kebbi, Kaduna, Kano, and Zamfara State. So, for example, if somebody is in Kwara State,
yes,
and they had an issue of female genital mutilation, because the law was not domesticated in that place, you could have problem of prosecuting that person. So that is the challenges that female genital mutilation is facing currently in Nigeria, and the policy stakeholder needs to get involved to ensure that this policy is actually domesticated across the country. Whether it's done by medical professionals or done by traditionalists, is actually an evil against women that must be stopped. And then every part of Nigeria needs to domesticate that act and make it a national policy that whoever perform female genital mutilation, whoever has hand in it, in promoting it, we have definite punishment on female genital mutilation. Before I end that session,
yes,
I want to just remember there was a case of a man that was promoting female genital mutilation on social media, and then the NGO reported the man to the police, and they found out that the man actually from Kwara State. Then it becomes difficult to actually arrest or prosecute the person. So that's why I said, for one of the major things that we have to do, apart from public enlightenment, is to ensure that the law, Violence Against People Act 2015, is domesticated across the country, so that everyone is aware, everyone now culpable, after we have enlightened, can actually get appropriate sanction. That is what I think we are at the female genital mutilation promotion and removal.
Absolutely, I'm 100% on board with that. And the thing about the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act, which is what you've been talking about, is that it's specifically implied in that document that female genital mutilation is a crime, and specifically implied in that document that female genital mutilation is a crime. And before now, in the General Constitution, that wasn't included. So this specifically spells it out. So if you are doing it anyway, and you are told that, oh, this is a crime, it's written in black and white there that you can be prosecuted. And if your case actually gets to the court, well, written in black and white there that you can be prosecuted. And if your case actually gets to the court, well, to a large extent, you'll be prosecuted and convicted because it's right there in the law. But now that you've talked about that, would you say that health workers and medical practitioners are aware that this is reportable and that it's a crime?
Yes, to some extent, some are aware, but not all. And that's where I think we need to work further and harder. A study done in Enugu was reported that 62.1% of people, general population now, are not aware of major mutilations are being a law, being a violence against women, and being prescribed. And the health worker, now let me bring the health worker down very closely, where we have the doctor, we have the nurses, we have community health workers.
Yes.
What has been found in our environment, mostly those that are involved are nurses. Probably because they are being in large number than some of the other health workers. The percentage of doctors being involved are still relatively low when we compare it to other health workers, close to maybe 4.7, 4.9% of being reported to be done by physicians or doctors. And then I think because of this low level of awareness among general population, and then the health workers may feign ignorance. Some know, but they because of pecuniary gains. Because some do it for just to make extra money. So they might ask that, no, since other people don't know, I don't know. Because generally, when we look at it, every health workers should at least have heard that female genital cutting or female genital damage or female genital mutilation is wrong. And there's a law against it in the land. So what I think people are doing is acting under the ignorance of at least many people don't know.
Okay.
So now there's a need also that we should strengthen information, strengthen dissemination of information generally to health worker. What do I mean? Let's even say in our environment, let's even include it into our curriculum. So it's even there that you are even, before you even become a practitioner, it's already there in your training. So that what you have learned in school, when you get to the field to practice, you know this is strong. So when you see cases, you'll be able to sensitize them and act appropriately that this is strong. So it could even be in the curriculum of, can even be in the curriculum of postgraduate training, particularly for family physician, obstetrician, gynecologist, and maybe public health physician, so that they know that female genital cutting or female genital mutilation is something that is evil, that is banned, that can lead to prosecution if they are found guilty. And that is what I think we should begin to move forward up from here to the. Another thing I want to say about health worker getting involved is when we look at the topography of our country, the fact that it is more located in the rural area than the
urban area.
Yes. And then the health worker will commonly come around to see the community health workers. Then there's a need to actually take this message to them. Okay? And then from including into their curriculum, basic training, and then in our survey, if we're able to find some, we'll be able to know to be able to carry them along community involvement in elimination of female genital cutting in our community. Let the community health worker that are located in the community begin to preach this message. Why am I saying that? People in the community believe in their health worker that is closer to them. Even if you are a specialist from anywhere I go to there, they say, that is not what my masters also tell us. So by the time we take it to the community health extension workers, even before the cutting occurs, he or she will have preached the message to them that female genital cutting is actually evil, is a crime. And some of the time in the communities, they know the cutters, they know the traditionalists. So because this is where the evil occur most. So the health worker at that level not only getting involved is always be preaching the message, so that the community know that even if the quarter come to them and say, oh, this is it, they will say, no, we know, and so person has told us that this is evil. By so doing, we will remove the medicalization of female genital mutilation. At the same time, we will remove female genital mutilation by traditionalists. It will admit all-encompassing community involvement by the healthcare worker and then the community as a whole. That way, we'll be able to solve the problem of medicalization of female genital mutilation as well as female genital mutilation generally.
Interesting point of view. And I really must acknowledge you and commend you for making this pretty clear the way you have. And that's because a lot of health workers or medical practitioners, as you would prefer to call it, have been, I'm glad that they have been oriented about this. I'm glad that people talk about this. I'm glad that it's established as a crime. So now let me ask you this. You did say that awareness has been done concerning this. Do you think more awareness is needed for health workers to dissuade them from medicalization of female genital mutilation? Do you think more awareness is needed, or do you think we're just about that point where majority of health workers or a good amount of health workers or all health workers know that female genital mutilation is wrong and should not be medicalized on any level?
Thank you for that question. Education. We can never outgrow being educated. Okay? We can as well put in the curriculum. That's point of entry.
Definitely.
But there's need for continuous orientation. Okay? So that nobody will say, have you learned it in the school? No, I still learning it. I keep seeing it. I keep doing away with it. So there's a need for continuous education through seminar, workshop. What we are doing now is a form of education to actually inform the populace, inform the health worker that this is not just a procedure, it's an evil, it's a damage to the female folk, and then it must be stopped. So we continue to do that education, and they need more enlightenment actually. And I think by the time we combine enlightenment with carrot and stick approach, but actually ensure that, because what I observe actually is that since 1997, when WHO got involved in female genital mutilation in Nigeria, we've passed the laws in 2015, but we have not prosecuted one person.
I was going to ask you that. I was literally just about to ask that. In your experience, have you heard of any conviction, anything like that?
We have not even prosecuted. I'm not saying convicted. So that means we need to actually, apart from saying that we'll be able to domesticate this law across the country, then we must be able to actually prosecute the people that are involved, even if at least they are paying fine. That will be a carrot approach, and those that didn't do it, maybe the court will actually give them something for. Oh, thank you for stopping female genital mutilation. You are finding some. Thank you for doing. But those that are doing it, we actually prosecute them. I think one of the challenges that we are facing is that we have not been prosecuting. And then, according to survey done in Enugu, some security officers are even claiming ignorance. I'm not saying they are ignorant. They are claiming ignorance of not knowing that this law exists. And when the law enforcer are claiming ignorant of it, even when you report, they will tell you that no, they are not aware. I think we need to carry more aspect of our society along, and then we begin to prosecute from the churches, because it affects us all. The women folk, their mother, their friend, their partner, their wife, their daughter. So we have to carry everyone along, and then the judges, the lawyers, the security personnel, they need to be educated, and so that we will be able to actually prosecute. And then another thing is to find people that have this condition. Okay, for us to be able to find people that have female genital condition, because it occurs in the society sometimes in a room, then we need to get the healthcare worker to mobilize them as a stakeholder to find and get. Well, anytime they see it, investigate it, prosecute, and then by that we'll be able to move a step ahead in eliminating the female genital mutilation. And then associations of health workers. Let me put it in an umbrella association, because every health worker has their own associations.
Okay.
There's a need to get them involved. They have platforms. For example, different social media, we have platforms where this information can be disseminated. Actually, it will reach a larger audience early: the nurses, the doctor, the healthcare, the community health extension workers. By the time we put this one on their platform, and then we ask them to help to find the cases and then diligently investigate the cases, prosecute, will we be able not only stopping the medicalization,
Yes,
but actually reducing the burden of female genital mutilation in the sense of it. So those are the things that I think going forward from here we can actually begin to do, that get it to their platform, get it to various association union leaders, so that they bring it home as a song for the members, so that we can actually stop the medicalization of female genital mutilation in the reasons of it.
Very well said, Doctor. Thank you very much. This is still Let's Talk FGM on Women Radio 91.7, where we discuss every and anything concerning female genital mutilation.
Come on, Lagos. We're turning it all the way up.
You know what it is.
Ladies and gentlemen, women talk on WFM 91.7.
Mama Dora, bring Dora, come on. I want that don't come circumcise us.
Circumcision no good at all. Now you want destroy your pikin life. Papa Dora, you know say person wey pay somebody to do circumcision, and person wey do the circumcision, now all of them go prison wey fit reach like 4 years, and dem fit still even pay 200,000. If you give person ordinary advice say they do circumcision, you go fit go prison for like 2 years and still pay like 100,000 fine money. E sure say my family can call this law enforcement agency to go arrest you. Wetin dey do no good.
You go circumcise Dora again, eh? Papa Dada, carry your yama knife come on my house. Only self go report you.
Circumcision no good at all, as e dey cause plenty health palava for girls body. My people, if you hear or see person wey wan circumcise any girl, sharply go to law enforcement person near you, or make you call 0812-467-0069. Female circumcision no good. Make we join hands stop am.
Na this health initiative through im Stop Cut project wey dey funded by United Nations Trust Fund to End Violence Against Women bring una this message.
Still, Let's Talk FGM on Women Radio 91.7. It's 26 minutes to 3, and we're still discussing medicalization of female genital mutilation. This is a very pertinent subject because, truth be told, female genital mutilation is still popular in today's world, but we need this. We're using this medium to let you know that if you know anyone that's still doing it, if you know anybody who is still practicing female genital mutilation, well, this is a cue to know that it's wrong. Talk to them about it, and of course, do what is right, relay the right information, and report to the right authorities. But we're getting to that point. We're still talking about medicalization of female genital mutilation. My name is Somto Titilayo Ajama, and we're talking to Dr. Akimbawale Akinyele Akin, consultant obstetrician and gynecologist, enlightening us on the medicalization of female genital mutilation. Okay. The number to call is 07000-917-917 if you have questions or you need anything clarified, because this is important. So you can call in again to 07000-917-917. Also send in text messages or WhatsApp messages to 0703-175-6537. Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Let's Talk FGM. All right, can you call back if you can? Once again, the number is 07000-917-917. 07000-917-917. Text and WhatsApp messages go to 0703-175-6537. 0703-175-6537. Let's Talk FGM is an initiative of Hazy Health Initiative in partnership with Women Radio 91.7 and funded by the United Nations Trust Fund to End Violence Against. Now, going back to the subject, Doctor, this is one very serious conversation, if we're being honest, and this is because medicalization of female genital mutilation is kind of being viewed as a hack, so to speak, to prevent people from doing it the traditional way. You know, if you're trying to prevent your child or your young one from escaping diseases or, you know, being infected by anything, going through the traditional circumcises, then the best way, so to speak, according to some of these people who still believe in female genital mutilation, is to go the medicalization route. So I was literally just saying that I don't think I've ever heard anybody anywhere of any arrest, literally anywhere in all my life, that somebody has been arrested anywhere for female genital mutilation or for the medicalization of female genital mutilation. Health worker, traditional circumciser, or I really don't think I've ever heard of it. Is this the real problem? The fact that people are not reporting, or the fact that, well, what exactly is the issue? Why is that the case, do you think?
Thank you very much, Mrs. Moderator. Actually, in our environment, there's not been prosecution.
Okay, doctor, give me 1 second. Let's quickly take this call.
All right.
Hello, good afternoon. Hello? All right. Please go ahead, doctor.
Yes, in our environment, one of the major challenges or bus stop that we are is actually prosecution of cases of or culprit of female genital mutilation. I use that one with caution.
Okay.
But in developed world, yes, people have been prosecuted. In fact, if you are working in United Kingdom and as an adult, you had a female genital mutilation in your home country, for example, an migrant from Nigeria or from Africa. Okay, and you actually get to labor ward, and maybe the midwife recognize that you have some degree of female genital cutting, you will be reported, and then appropriate investigation, and then will be done. Because not only to mitigate the complication, to actually have support for the people. And if they find that somebody, maybe a parent is involved, is actually regarded as child abuse, and they prosecute those people, and then appropriate sanction given. But in our environment, let's look at school that are taking part in female genital mutilation. That's why the law has been passed 7 years ago. We have not had cases of prosecution, arrest, and anybody being sanctioned for it. So there is law, but the law, as it sounds today, is not really being implemented. And that is where we must begin to move forward by involving the stakeholders so that we can have some cases prosecuted and appropriate sanction meted out to those that are involved. So this will serve as a deterrent, and then from that, we not only necessarily need to punish, but some pay fine, and then those that deceased, maybe in the community, they first consider abandoning, we can actually motivate them so that it be a two-way approach. Those that refuse to yield, those that refuse to abandon the procedure should be prosecuted. Those that abandon the procedure can be rewarded for actually. Those are the two ways. But I think in developed world, why it has actually almost stopped is because the prosecution is high, almost 100%. Any recognized case at any stage of life must be investigated and prosecuted. And from that, it's actually being abandoned in developed world.
How can I stop FGM in my community? Where did we begin with that particular question, doctor?
Yes, that's a very important question, because the purpose of enlightenment is actually to stop female genital mutilation in our environment. The first thing is for all of us to see this as a community duty, as a responsibility for all, to see female genital mutilation as something that we must abandon, and something that involves all of us to stop. Because once we have one or two people still doing it, we may not be able to stop it, actually. So what we can do, as our friend that just calling us said, is to first of all be a partner. Let's first of all know that this is an evil. Okay. And being in your society, you will be able to have idea who or where this procedure is being performed. Okay. And then once you identify where it's being performed, good enough, Ogun State assigned the law, the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act in law, particularly the southwestern part of the country, or the state in the southwestern part can assign it to law. So it's a reportable case. Okay, and then we have partners like the partner that has brought us to this station. You can report to them; they know what to do. So what we do, and you can also be part of the people that actually spread the news across. Some people may not be listening to this radio as we speak now, but you can actually speak to them that no, it is not good. Okay, women's societies, market women, women's union, or riders, they can be partner by just spreading the news. By that way, more people will be aware. Once they are aware that it's evil and it's unnecessary and is actually a damage to women folk, then you're already playing a part. And if you identify anybody in the society still doing it, then it's a reportable case. Inform the law enforcement agents in your environment. You can inform the NGOs, they know what to do. But everybody has a role to play. Minimum you can do is to spread the news. Tell other friends, tell colleagues, spread it on your social media. Let people know that this is evil that's affected our women that must be stopped. It's not something we should hide and hide as if it doesn't happen. Because some people believe, oh, let me cover it up. No, it should not be covered up. So it should be some evil that should be exposed therewith, and then continue to spread the news across. Okay, who knows? Your news may be something that will save another woman.
Absolutely. That's 100% true. So Wale from Ibafa, I hope you got that, and I hope you're taking that into consideration. Now, the number to call is still 07000-917-917, 07000-917. And if you have any text or WhatsApp messages, you can send that to 0703-175-6537, 0703-175-6537. Now, you talked about medical associations, and I would like to know if these medical associations have any sort of surveillance or any sort of way that they can track or follow up with hospitals or with health centers to know if health workers are practicing female genital mutilation in any way.
Yes, the health workers has a role to play, and that's why WHO has released guidelines for surveillance female genital mutilation. Actually, health workers are actually critical stakeholders, because even if they didn't pick the child as a small girl, they can pick them in adolescence or during the adult stage. So once they identify them, they will to do contact tracing. Who did this? Who did what? Okay, we will be able to identify the traditional circumstances in their community. They have role to play. Okay, and then by getting the association leaders involved, we can actually make it a association project. Okay, so that they see it as everyone in the association, they are well aware that once you come across this case, let the association leader know. Then they can partner with the NGO like UNFPA, like others. Okay, and interestingly and very good, every state has representatives of UNFPA. So they can actually get them involved, since this is one of their major projects. They can partner with them. I know that some states have projects like research to find those that have female genital mutilation, and with WHO guideline in place, you can actually do the study and carry it out. The association can be doing that. The association can get people that are doing it and then do appropriate training and, where necessary, reports to the appropriate quarter so that we can stop it. I believe by getting the associations involved, we will spread the news faster. Maybe the nurses, the doctor, the community association worker, the traditional birth attendants, and even the traditional birth attendants that have their private settings in different communities. We can get them involved. Everyone have associations, so they can actually play a part in actually not only identify cases and contact tracing, they can actually report, and then from there we'll be able to report to know where these things are coming from, because if we don't know the source, we will not be able to actually stop it. And this thing happen in the community. So anywhere we find female genital mutilation, after we have solved the medicalization, we will be able to take part in actually reducing this scourge in our society. So medical unions, they have role to play. As I've said, they have role to play, and they should be a stakeholder to actually reduce this scourge in our society.
Thank you very much, Doctor. So finally, being that we're talking about medicalization and we're still talking about female genital mutilation, have you had any patients in your line of work as an obstetrician and gynecologist who you could tie whatever was wrong with them in the process of maybe having the baby, and you could recognize that this person had been mutilated and they needed help?
Well, when you look at the percentage of all the population of people involved, you know that every health worker will have come across a victim of genital mutilation. I use that word with caution. I've seen, even before they come to the I've seen cases of chlorhydritis where there is an inclusion cyst arising from the remnant of clitoris. Huge. Embarrassing. Two young ladies of 11, 15, 16 that are not even sexually active. So there are cases, it's something that we see regularly. So by the time close to 20 million in Nigerian population have experienced female genital mutilation, it's not a huge number. And then average of 1 in 10. It's common that every practitioner will have come across it, particularly whether in labor, whether before labor. We see it quite often, and then I believe practitioner will have come across it. And that's why I said healthcare practitioners should be stakeholders. And then once this law is become very effective, let's even say the law, because let me just put a point before I move forward on this, or let me come back to it later. There's a need to actually look at the law that we have in Nigeria, Prohibition of Violence Against People Act 2015, and that is, we should move beyond criminalizing it. We should try to enforce the problem by just making it a reportable case for healthcare practitioner to come across every case of female genital cutting to report, and there should be an appropriate place to report to. Okay, because that's one of the defects in the current act. It is not mandatory to report. So you keep coming across them, you look as if it's normal. You look at it, we know it's not good. You look at it, we know it's not good, but what do you do? But when it becomes a law for every health worker to report, then we will be able to trace the female genital who did what. So by the time you report, we'll be able to trace them to the community and say, oh, it is so person. This is the person that brought me there. So by that time, we'll be able to educate the person or sanction the person. It should be a reportable case, like what they did in
other developed countries.
Okay. By that way, we will not only be seeing it and get angry about it. We will be able to do something about it.
All right, Doctor, please, we have a call coming. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Let's Talk FGM. What's your name and where are you calling from, please?
My name is Thomas Odabi.
Mr. Odabi, thank you for calling.
Yeah, calling from Nigeria.
Okay, thank you for calling. Please, do you have a question?
No, I just have just on the app. And my question goes to our judge of law, that the issue of and one of our baby. The woman was telling me that her mother did it to you, and she must do it for 2 minutes. And I was telling the woman that the government is kicking against it, that it's an abomination for now, for somebody to go and do it. And she said she cannot go if we have a child, the female child that is going to school. So I'm very surprised. I just think maybe these people are aware about this, maybe these people are aware about this, what we are saying. So maybe the government should take more effort so that they can be able to let everybody understand.
Thank you so much, Mr. Odabi. Thank you for calling. Well, this goes back to the subject of awareness, which you raised earlier, that the government and stakeholders in health also need to do better with publicizing this, the consequences or the fact that female genital mutilation is wrong. And they should emphasize this in a way that more people, even regular people, can understand, and people that are not in the health line can also know that this is wrong. Because this is basically what Mr. Odabi is saying about the conversation he had with someone.
Yeah, let me first of all thank Mr. Odabi for actually being an advocate of female genital cutting or female genital damage by informing people around that this is wrong. That is what we want everybody in the society to do, to actually continue to preach the message across. Because people have some very strange, strong belief from cultural, from religious perspective that it's just the right thing to do. That people that do not do female genital cutting might be promiscuous, might not be able to have babies. So they have some very strange beliefs depending on the cultural background. And Nigeria is so diverse with a lot of ethnic groups. So people have different information, wrong information that they are holding on to. I remember when a study was done in Enugu, one of the reasons why people do is that they believe it's the right of every child must be circumcised. They hate it. That's what they in society. In that society. Okay, and any child that does not do it, something bad will happen to them. Okay, that's their own culture. So they held on to the wrong notion so much that any women that refuse female genital cutting for their children is looked as an outcast. It looks as if something is wrong with them. Whereas something good actually happened to them.
Exactly.
So by being an advocate, let other people advocate that female genital cutting has been abandoned. The next thing I want to say is that have I been asked to do it before? Yes, I have to be an advocate and say no, that's been stopped since. So because you keep seeing people that head on to some flimsy excuse, flimsy belief that become a stronghold in them, that they just think this is just the right thing at all cost. That's why I see the complication. I think other people like Mr. W should be part of the people that spread the news across the other that female genital cutting is actually an evil.
So as we round off, doctor, because we're still talking about medicalization and you're a doctor, for people that have been already mutilated and already have all these complications, keloid formation here and there, and are having difficulty with menstruation, with conception and delivery, is there any way that they can be helped medically?
Yes, that is why the WHO and the UNFPA are advocating support for women to actually speak up and seek help early, before the complication begin to arise. Let them manage it early, because some of the complications that occur, you might be able to actually ameliorate them if you pick them early. So by all societies and people speaking up, we may be able to actually help them early. There's no any case that is hopeless actually, and everyone that's a victim of female genital mutilation should be free to speak up and seek help from gynecologists. They are there in our society to help and examine and see what is the extent of damage, what can be done to actually reduce the burden, to reduce the complication that is associated with female genital cutting. So when people come around, we will be able to help them further. Things that we can do, whether it's difficult things, intercourse, there's things we can do. So by the time they speak up, what you are saying is actually eliminate it, reduce burden, reduce the complication. And by partnering with NGOs, we can actually work together and actually see that we remove the burden of female genital mutilation so they can be helped at any stage of life.
We've had a beautiful conversation, and I hope that you out there listening has been able to take one or two things from this entire conversation today. Thank you very much, Doctor. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, it's my pleasure for having me.
2 p.m. on Wednesdays is the time for Let's Talk FGM, and we discuss everything concerning female mutilation and condemn the practice. Let's join hands to stop female genital mutilation today. If you want to report cases, you can call this number 0812 464 0069. I'll take that again, 0812 467 0069. That's the number to call to report cases of female genital mutilation. You can go to stopcut.hacy.org. Stopcut.hacy.org. You can go there and you'll get more information on what to do going forward. Thank you very much to the producer, Adin Kodri, and studio assistant, Eniola, and of course, engineers on duty. My name is Somto Titilayo Ajama. Good afternoon.
Keep it locked, keep it loud. Turn your radios up. Wow. WFM 1.7. We go live. Àṣàkẹ́ Yéṣu kú omi kan pẹ́ ṣe bí ìyá àgbà onígi ló fẹ́ dábẹ́ fún wọn.
Mo fẹ́ dábẹ́ fún ọmọ mi. Àdúgbò àkọ́kọ́ ló fẹ́ dábẹ́ fáṣàkẹ́. Ìyá àgbà mi gígan ni wọ́n sì pè pé kó wá dábẹ́ fún.
Ṣé bí ìjọba ti ní ohun tó léwu ni? Ewu ti ní láti máa dábẹ́ fún ọmọbìnrin.
Ṣé bí nǹkan tí wọ́n fi yé bàbá wọn lọ sí ẹ̀wọ̀n ọdún lẹ́yìn nígbà ọ̀nà? Ẹ̀wọ̀n ìmọ̀ràn ìjọba nínú gbogbo tí wọ́n fẹ́ tẹ̀sán àwọn olè. Ìpẹ́lọ́pàá sí.
Àti sí ẹ ti fẹ́ kọ́ ọmọ yín kú.